Hello, this is a tutorial on creating visuals for your music inside Ableton Live. I'm using a suite of Max for Live devices called ZwoBot, and this video is a tutorial on a specific ZwoBot device. So if you're new to ZwoBot, I'd recommend you go back and watch some of my earlier videos first, which you can find in my ZwoBot in Ableton tutorials playlist. This video is going to be about the layer device. This creates an additional layer on top of your current image or video. So I've loaded up a video that I created using Kyber AI here, and I've already connected my layer device to my player and I've switched it on. So let's have a look at it. We've got this background size dial, so this controls the size of the background, and you can see you can't notice where the layer is when the background size is set to 0, but as soon as you start to increase the background size, you can see we've got this rectangle in the middle of the screen. So this is the additional layer. You can also flip it either on the x-axis or the y-axis. You can make the background black and white, or you can invert the colors. And you can also select multiples of these. And then we've got these size dials, so these control the size of the layer. You can either change the X and Y dimensions separately, or if you click this button here, it will lock them so you change them both at the same time, so it keeps the original aspect ratio. This pad here controls where the additional layer is, or which part of the original video is going to be inside of that layer. And you can also change the shape of it. So at the moment it's a rectangle, but if you click circle here, it'll become a circle instead. And then if you click this plus button, we have some specific coordinates that we can input. So if, for example, I put it here and I know that's where I want it, I can see that that's 37 and 66. So if I click over here and I've lost it, I can just manually put in 37, 66. Most of these controls have sound reactivity and beat controls, so I'm just going to unmute this track. So this song that I'm using for this tutorial is a track by an artist called Redfalls. The song is called 5 Mile Drop. They are signed to a record label called Machine Records, who put out a lot of great electronic music, so if you're into that kind of thing, go and check them out. I'll put a link to the Machine Records Bandcamp in the description, as well as a link to this specific EP. So I'm going to set the background size to respond to the lower frequencies. And maybe I will invert the colors on it. And I'm also going to have the size of the layer change. And we'll have that change in accordance with the higher frequencies. But I don't want the X and Y axes to be locked together. So maybe we'll have the Y dimensions change with the lows. I'll just keep it in the middle for now, so you can hit this R button to reset it to the default position, which is in the middle. And you can add sound reactivity to these coordinates as well. So what that'll do is have it move along a single axis. So at the moment it's just moving along the x-axis, but if I want it to move along the y-axis, I can apply the sound reactivity to this Y control. I'm going to leave them off for now, and I'm going to just hit this minus button to hide those options. Maybe I'll change it to a circle. And I'll apply a beat control to this position. So now that layer is moving in accordance with my master beat control, which is set to quarter notes. But what you can do, which makes things a bit more interesting, is add multiple layer modules. So I've got this other one here, so I'm just going to switch that on. And now you can see we've got another rectangle in the middle. So let's make that a sort of a strip. And actually, I'm going to stop moving this. Stop the background moving a second. I'm going to change this to a rectangle. I'm going to get a series of strips. I've got a third one here, so I'm going to turn that on as well. And let's make that the same size. So one thing to bear in mind with this is the way they're layered up in your signal chain is going to impact how they look. So you can see this second one, the invert effect is also applied to that, and that is because it's underneath this first layer. So anything that's underneath this is going to be inverted. And because I've got the background size turned up on this second layer, that is meaning this third layer is bigger. So you can see it's thicker than the other two, even though it's also set to 1.5 on the X size. Because it's technically in the background from this layer, it's underneath it. Because I put the background size up, it's made it thicker. So I need to turn this down, and now we can see it's the right size. But now this middle layer has disappeared because I've made the background size 0. And as soon as you make the background size 0, your layer is going to be indistinguishable from the background. So if you want to use multiple layer modules, you might just need to play about with the settings a bit to make sure they can all actually be seen. And in the bottom left hand corner, you have our usual transparency and blend settings. So this controls the overall transparency of the module, and then we have our blend modes here.